Before we begin, there's something important to understand. Most people think caring too much about what others think is just a personality trait. But the real cost isn't overthinking. The real cost is slowly losing touch with what your own choices actually feel like to you. And most people don't notice it happening until years later. If you care deeply about what other people think of you, you probably don't notice it in big dramatic moments. You notice it afterwards. After a conversation, after a message, after you leave a room, you replay what you said. You replay how it sounded. You replay their tone, their pause, their reaction. And even when nothing clearly went wrong, your mind keeps checking. Did I say too much? Did I come across wrong? Did I make it awkward? It's not loud panic. It's quiet monitoring, and it follows you everywhere. This isn't about insecurity. Caring deeply about what others think is often a way your mind tries to stabilize itself. When you don't feel deeply satisfied with your own life, other people's reactions become reference points. They help you decide how you should feel. Approval gives temporary relief. Neutral reactions create doubt. Disapproval feels destabilizing. So your mind keeps checking, not because it wants to punish you, but because it's trying to regulate you. Here's the part most people never consider. What if this behavior isn't a flaw, but a signal? What if your subconscious mind is trying to communicate with you? Not through words, but through patterns? Because behaviors that repeat are rarely random. They usually point to something unresolved. Not something wrong with you, but something in your life that hasn't been honestly felt yet. It's almost like you outsourced the job of deciding how you should feel to people who were never meant to hold that role. And without realizing it, their reaction slowly became your reference point. Underneath this pattern is not the question, am I good enough? It's a different question. Am I actually happy with my life when I'm not looking at it through other people's eyes? When someone feels genuinely fulfilled, other people's opinions lose urgency. Not because they stop caring, but because they don't need confirmation. The less settled you feel internally, the more external feedback matters. So caring too much about what others think is often a signal, not of weakness, but of misalignment. Something in your life looks right on the outside, but doesn't feel right on the inside. And when that happens, your mind looks outward to compensate. And when your emotional stability depends on external feedback, your mind doesn't just care what people think anymore. It starts watching for it, scanning, interpreting, reading into things. And that's when another behavior appears. If you often assume that small things are about you, a short reply, a change in tone, someone cutting you off, someone not responding, this pattern usually feels very personal. Not dramatic, just quietly targeted. This isn't because you're intuitive or emotionally perceptive. It's because your attention has turned inward too often. You're constantly scanning for meaning, and your mind places itself at the center of what's happening. But most of the time, other people's actions have very little to do with you. They're busy thinking about themselves in the same way you're thinking about yourself. Their stress, their distraction, their bad day, none of it requires intent. When you assume everything is personal, ordinary life starts to feel like an attack. And over time, you begin living as if you're always reacting, always affected, always positioned as the one something is happening to. That's how you slowly become the victim of random events. Not because the world is against you, but because your mind keeps putting you at the center of it. Once this pattern sets in, your inner world starts to feel very convincing. Every worry sounds reasonable. Every fear feels justified. Every emotional reaction feels meaningful. This isn't because you lack clarity. It's because worrying feels comfortable, and familiarity often gets mistaken for truth. Worry keeps you alert, mentally active, prepared. In a strange way, it feels safer to worry than to rest in uncertainty. So your mind keeps producing thoughts and you trust them automatically. But the more you blindly trust every thought and feeling that passes through you, the more your emotional state depends on what's happening around you. You become reactive, at the mercy of moods, circumstances, imagined outcomes. That's not clarity. That's instability disguised as vigilance. Caring too much, assuming things are about you, overthinking interactions. These behaviors are not separate problems. They are all attempts to answer the same unmet need. Your mind is trying to feel grounded in a life that doesn't fully feel settled yet. It's trying to replace internal alignment with external feedback. That doesn't make you broken. It makes you adaptive. It means your subconscious has been trying to help just in the only way it knows how. So if you recognize yourself in this, there's nothing wrong with you. You're not overly sensitive. You're not self-absorbed. You're not failing at confidence. You've just learned to treat every thought and every feeling as if it were a fact. And that's the habit to interrupt. Not by arguing with your mind, not by forcing yourself to care less, but by pausing and asking one quieter question. Is this thought helping me stay grounded, or is it just keeping me alert? Because worry feels productive. It feels protective, but it isn't the same as clarity. Clarity is steadier, quieter, less dramatic. It doesn't need every reaction to be justified. It doesn't need every emotion to be explained. And when you stop automatically believing everything you think or feel, something shifts. Other people's opinions don't disappear. They just stop being in charge. Not because you stopped caring, but because your attention finally returned to your own life. So instead of asking, what do they think of me? Try noticing something simpler. Does the life I'm living actually feel like mine? Even when no one is watching? You don't need to fix anything right now. Just notice the difference between thoughts that pull you outward and the moments that bring you back. That's not you losing awareness. That's you learning to stand in clarity instead of constantly scanning for threats. And from there, the noise doesn't need to be silenced. It just stops running the room. If this gave you language for something you've been feeling, you can like the video. It helps it reach people who need it. And if you want, leave a comment with a thought that stayed with you the longest.